Oh, hello there. I didn't see you. It's a nice night out, isn't it? Yeah, I figured after a long weekend it'd be a nice time to go camping. Just, become one with nature yet again. I always like to set up right next to the lake. You can hear the water lapping in the morning. It's a nice thing to wake up to. Here. Just ignore the sounds of very obvious civilization that might come through my mouth. But that doesn't make sense, so don't worry about it. Why don't you come take a seat on the other side of this campfire? Yeah, I just finished toasting up some marshmallows, and I was about to hit the hay, but... Well, now that you're here, I figure it would be a good time to tell some campfire stories. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Get cozy, get comfy. Ignore my hand doing that every once in a while. It just happens sometimes. I'm trying to get it looked at. Well. Surely. You've been around the internet. I'd say for a while, if I were to guess, correct? It's probably why you're out here camping as well, right? Well, allow me, someone who has been on the internet a long, long time, to entertain you with some stories of the past, and maybe even the present. Because if there's one thing I know about the internet, it's that things never really go away, do they? So even way out here on this nice lake next to this warm campfire and the burnt marshmallows that I had to throw in the dirt because I messed them up, I'm going to enlighten you with some of the greatest that the internet has ever had to offer in terms of the wonderful thing known as fan fiction. God's greatest gift to us. Was it medicine? Was it nature? Was it the concept of love and friendship? No. The greatest thing that the universe ever bestowed upon humanity was the ability to write fan fiction. Come in, weary traveler. I'm sure your feet are aching from all this hiking that you've been doing. Take a load off. I was just getting ready to read you guys a wonderful, wonderful set of stories. Maybe even multiple. Or maybe just one if we just want to go for a long one. But they will be the greatest things you've ever heard, and will not at all make you regret ever coming camping and stumbling upon my campfire. What else could be better after a long weekend, a nice time away, than to finally unwind with the greatest works of fiction you will ever hear? Some of these you may know. Some of these you may have known, but you didn't ever read them. This is why you asked for fan fictions. Of course. Of course. It was not just mere morbid curiosity. It was very much for this very reason. To share them with you, my lovely guests, beside my warm campfire on this nice dusk, cool evening, as summer winds to an end. It was for nothing more than to entertain a few guests as I slap my microphone to itch my eye because allergies have been destroying me, but I guess that's what I get for going camping with allergies, isn't that right? Well, please excuse me as I try to pull this up. I was trying to... I was hoping to have them ready, but for some reason, I lost a link. And then the one I was going to read. Another streamer, another camper that came by told the story yesterday at a different campsite. And I didn't want to copy her. So I'm going to tell a different one. A different legend, if you will. This one, I think it is quite legendary. And maybe we'll read a lot of the chapters, because they don't seem very long. But first I have to get... I have poor eyesight, so I have to visualize your comments. So let me move this over here. Okay. Oh dear, do we have more campers out there? Oh, guess not. Okay. This one, it's a long, long living legend. It has been told many times, I'm sure, and maybe you even heard it. It's legendary, surely. Everyone on these lakes talks about this one. But this one was first written by the legend of the Dark Doom Fire Master. And it goes by the name of Sonic High School. Are you comfortable? Dust off the log. There are no ants. I made sure to check for the anthills before you guys came. The fire helps keep them away, so you shouldn't be worried about that. But there is some there is some bug repellent in my tent if you do need to grab some. Settle in. This one, if I recall correctly, and I am because I'm looking right at the list, there are 25 chapters to this legendary story. Whether or not we think we are worthy of listening to all 25 chapters today, well, we'll see about that. Now, with one sip of fine water, freshly boiled from the lake behind us, we begin. Chapter 1, Sonic's Journal. Author's note. Wow, one day I woke up and got an email from this website saying my story was taken down for copyrighted content. Containing copyrighted content, excuse me. It doesn't do that. It is my story and I wrote it. Pissed to the extreme, I said whatever, and then forgot about it for a few years, but today, I am re-uploading it. Sonic High School, Chapter 1. Sonic's Journal. Sonic woke up and looked at the clock. 7 o'clock, it said, and Sonic screamed. I am late for school. I have to get to school now, said Sonic, jumping out of bed. Sonic put on his clothes really fast and ran out of his room because he is fast. No time for breakfast, said Sonic as he ran past Sonic's mom. You will regret this, said Sonic's mom, leering at him from the kitchen stove, wearing aprons and oven mitts on her hands. Sonic did not care. He was late. Sonic ran outside and ran to the bus stop where people were getting on the bus. Tails, Knuckles, wait for me, said Sonic as he ran towards the bus. Hey Knuckles, it's Sonic, said Tails to Knuckles on the bus stop. He is late, said Knuckles to Tails before getting on the bus. Sonic ran so fast to the bus and he got on the bus after Tails. Just in time, said Sonic, huffing and puffing like he was doing the Cupid Shuffle for the first time. Sonic sat down next to Tails, and Knuckles sat beside them, taking up both seats. I'm so bad, said Knuckles, laughing because he sat where two people could sit. But they all knew it was against the rules of both man and God. The bus started and drove at the school and parked, and they got out. We are at school now, said Tails. It is time to go to class. Sonic was also at school, so he went to his first class of the day, English class. Sonic did not like English very much, but he did not like any class very much that was not about running and going fast, which is what Sonic does best. Sonic got to his class and sat down in his seat. "It is journal day," said Sonic's English teacher, Mrs. Lesson. Mrs. Lesson was tall and white and had gray hair, and she was not pretty. "Take out your journals and put them in a pile, and I will read out your entries to the class." Sonic took out his blue journal and ran to the front quickly and put his journal on her desk and ran back to his desk, all with his head down, and not talking or looking at anyone. Sonic was so fast that he did it first. Everyone else did it afterwards, and slower. Mrs. Lesson. Don't disrespect the words of Mrs. Lesson. She invented teaching. She had to do something because she was not pretty. Mrs. Lesson grabbed a journal from the pile, and Sonic knew it was his, because it looked just like Sonic's journal. Sonic knew this because he had written in it so many times that it was crazy. Thank you for respecting the reading. There will be a quiz on this after. Mrs. Lesson opened to a totally random page, and it was the worst page she could pick. She began to read. "Dear Journal, I called the doctor today." Mr. Lesson. "Dear Journal, I called the doctor today about a problem. I have a problem with my balls. They are itchy, and it is difficult to sit with them because they are so itchy. I have to back up against stucco surfaces and rub up and down on them to relieve the itchiness. No creams have worked. Creams. Sorry, I'm getting a little unprofessional with the storytelling. Creams only make my balls smell like the breath of a thoroughbred, and I think Amy, my girlfriend, noticed. I hope my doctor calls. Love, Sonic." "Oh no, stop reading," said Sonic, but he reacted too late because it was already read. All of it. Everyone in the class laughed, and Sonic felt like an idiot asshole. Sonic felt like an idiot asshole because now everyone knows all about his ball problems. Sonic felt his rage build up inside of him like a pool of lava in a volcano. "Stop laughing at me. Don't tell anyone," shouted Sonic, but everyone was laughing so loud that they did not hear him, and Sonic was so embarrassed and mad and sad, but more embarrassed, so he ran out of class fast. Sonic ran to his locker and opened it and screamed into it. He screamed, "This sucks," and curse words too. "What is the problem?" said Tails. "Are you mad?" said Tails. Sonic was mad, so he nodded. You should You should tell everyone that it is okay to have problems with your balls, and that they probably have problems that they do not want everyone to know about too, so stop laughing at me. Sonic thought Tails was right, because Tails was smart. Knuckle was there too. So he said, "Sonic, what is this I heard about..." "Sonic, what's this I heard about you're having problems with your penis and balls?" Sonic was so mad again that he punched Knuckles and he ran away quick. Sonic ran to where Sonic ran to was his next class. It's now second period, so it was okay. And that class was history class. Sonic did not Sorry, I'm looking ahead. Knuckles did not have to say penis and balls. He's being a good friend. He's concerned about his friend's health. Okay? I don't think Sonic mentioned anything about the penis part, but, you know, it's connected. Sonic, Knuckles just wanted to be thorough. He was just making sure. Do you know Dewey? Sonic, Knuckles knows Dewey. of anatomy, I guess. Where am I? Where is this story? Where's Sonic? I already read that. Sonic did not care about history class. "Hey, Amy," said Sonic. "Check me out." And Sonic did a dance move. "Wow, cool. Let's kiss." Okay, sorry. I got ahead of myself with the story, and I started to get caught up in the beautiful legend that I'm unraveling for you. "Well, cool. Let's kiss," said Amy, and Sonic and Amy kissed right there in the class, and some of the other people in the class watched, but the teacher wasn't there yet, so they didn't get in trouble. And who was gonna tell Sonic he can't kiss his girlfriend in class? Amy kissed Sonic so hard that he was thinking, let's... Amy kissed Sonic so hard that he was thinking, let's have sex. But he didn't say that because the teacher would show up by the time they started to have sex in history class. Sonic kissed back really hard, and it was sexy to everyone, including you. The teacher... The teacher arrived, and they did class, but Sonic just looked at Amy the whole time, who was sitting next to... Okay, I know it's Rogue, right? Is it Rogue or is it Rouge? I don't know, I didn't really play Sonic that much. I think this is spelled Rogue, so I'm gonna say Rogue. Oh wait, oh no, this is spelling Rouge. Okay, it's Rouge, it's Rouge. Rouge was telling Amy about Sonic's Rouge was telling Amy about Sonic's gay ball problems, and Amy was Sonic's girlfriend, but she thought it was just the funniest thing ever. Class ended, and Sonic went to Amy quick and did not stop on the way. "Hey Amy, why do you go telling Rouge about how hard we kiss?" Smiley face. And Sonic said Sonic with a smile on his face that he meant that he did not care that Amy did this and really wanted her to because it made him look cooler. Actually, Rouge was Actually, Rouge was telling me about the problems with your balls and penis and butthole, and everyone found out about it in your English class. Wow, was Sonic surprised? He did not know what to say. End of chapter 1. Wow. Isn't that a great first chapter to this legend? I think I need a second to just take that all in. It's truly glorious. I mean, just the progression, the rising story, like the rising conflict of it starting out with it being a ball problem, and then Knuckles reveals that it's more than a ball problem, and then it's penis and ball problem, and then Amy wrapping it all up in the rule of thirds, concluding that is a butthole and penis and ball problem. Cinema. Ugh. Alright, I guess literature, not cinema. Touching. No touching. No touching. Chapter 2. The Prom. The rest of the day for Sonic was awful. So bad that Sonic went home and went right to the bathroom and took a big poop. It was a mad poop because it went out fast. It shooted out of his butthole so fast that it was like a gun shooting. You know, you know when like your English teacher would make you read like a really embarrassing part in a book. Not that. Not when they make you read that. Not when they made you read that in front of the class, but like something really embarrassing. But and you know what's going and you don't want to say it. I'm going to be like the English teacher, and for the sake of literary respect, I'm going to read this as it's told. His poop stunk so much that even the neighbors could smell it, and they all had a meeting at night about what to do about it, and they decided that they would just put fans on outside, and if it really started to smell again, they would do something else. So Sonic pooped and went up to his room and shouted into his pillow, "I hate everything," Sonic shouted loud, and he heard a knock at his door. "What is wrong, Sonic?" said Sonic's mom. "Nothing," said Sonic. "Okay, just keep it down because I'm trying to watch the TV," said Sonic's mom to Sonic, and left without saying anything else. Said Sonic twice, yes. "Nothing," said Sonic. End quote, said Sonic. Sonic was in his room still, so he looked out the window and saw Tails flying there with his flying tails. "Sonic, are you okay?" asked Tails. "I was worried about you, Sonic." Sonic was less mad because Tails was always nice and smart and didn't care that Sonic left his porns around his room so he could think about kissing and doing sex on Amy when he wasn't with Amy. What? Movashi, this is this is not what it looks like, I promise. What a time for you to pop into stream for the first time. You caught me at a pretty indisposed time. I'm educating the masses with cozy campfire stories of legends told to me by campers of Campground Past. Please be happy, said Tails. Are you there? Sonic went to the window and opened the window. Sonic grabbed Tails and put him on the bed because Sonic is strong too. This day was the worst, said Sonic. Everyone thinks I am a... Everyone thinks I am a gay loser. All because I gave them my journal. What are these? This is the legend spoken of in the trees of that is titled Sonic High School. I have to reread that one. I have to refocus. Everyone thinks I am a gay loser, all because I gave them my journal, said Sonic. Sonic cried a little, and Tails put a hand under his face to catch his tears. Tears can stain a carpet. It's just water. You mean it can stain a carpet? That's the first issue I have with this story so far. Tails hugged Sonic and said, I'm always here for you. The prom is tonight also. Oh. Wow, I forgot, said Sonic. Sonic ran to his closet fast and pulled out his prom uniform. It's a tuxedo. And put it on faster. Is our limo here yet, Tails? Said Sonic while looking at Tails. Yes, said Tails right back. Let's go. And Sonic went outside with Tails, who was also in prom clothing, and they went outside and got in the limo. The limo is broken, said the limo driver, who looked like a person but darker colored. What? 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 Excuse me? the fuck? Oh my god. Oh god. It's Shadow. Sonic. I don't want to repeat that line. Sonic and Tails got out of the limo and asked the limo driver if they could fix it. Nope, the limo is broken eternally, said the limo driver. So Sonic grabbed Tails' hand and said, "Let's go," and ran all the way to prom, which was on an island called Ghost Island. How are they going to take a limo to a ghost island? I'm sensing some continuity errors in this story. Why did the limo driver show up and then tell them the fucking limo was broken? Why did he describe the limo driver like that? Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, refocus. Lock the fucking samurai. This place is scary, said Tails. Ghost Island was really scary. It was shaped like a skull, and everything looked like it was dead. Sonic looked at Tails. Yeah, it is, said Sonic. Why would they put the prom on this island, said Tails. I don't see anyone else from school here. Tails and Sonic were both worried about it all. Sonic and Tails walked forward, and there was a haunted house. Sonic and Tails went into the haunted house, and it was spooky. Sonic saw a ghost, and Tails saw a mummy. There was a man laughing. Ha ha ha, Sonic and Tails, now you are both here and fallen right into my trap, said the man laughing. The man looked like a... I'm not reading that. No, I'm not reading that. Oh my god. I am not reading that. It looked like a fat, immature... It was... It's not a slur, I just don't want to use that. those words in that string. The man looked like a fat, immature blank. It was Eggman. Oh. That was loud. Oh dear. Oh goodness. Maybe that was that Eggman? Is that Eggman? Excuse me. Eggman, why are you here? I feel like I have to give Eggman like the parody voice. Like the abridged series voice. Eggman, why are you here? Asked Sonic and shouted at Eggman. Are you here for the Chaos Emeralds? Sonic shook his fists at Eggman and Tails ran at him. But what an idiot he was, because a cage fell down on top of the... Oh, a cage fell down from the top of the sky and trapped Tails. You are doomed now, said Eggman. Welcome to a graveyard of you. What a line. Sonic was shocked, but did not run forward because he did not want to get caught too. But what if Eggman did not have another cage? Sonic did not know, so he went to the side, into a different room. This room was smaller and had carpets and wallpaper. It was still scary, though. Sonic said, I need to find a way out and save Tails. And he walked into a door that was on the next wall. Next thing, said Sonic. And he came out into the room, into the same room he was in. This is a haunted house, so you always come back to the same place, said Sonic, thinking of the famous saying he once saw on the wall of a Walgreens where it was written. Okay. Eggman laughed and pointed at Sonic. Wait, what? How did he... What? How did he get back to Eggman? Okay, I'm jumping the gun on literary, like a literary classic. I have to let it flow. Eggman laughed and pointed at Sonic. I kissed Amy, and now you can never date her again because I am going to do sex to her tonight. No, this cannot be real, said Sonic. Sonic knew he had to do something. But what? End of chapter 2. What a cliffhanger. Man. Who wrote this? Oh, my fire lost audio for a second. Sorry about that. Dark Doom Firemaster. I mean, they just really know how to keep us on edge. Wait, chapter 3. The 2 most important people. Oh my god, my arm just went through my chest. Talk about a horror flick. Sonic ran the fastest right to Dr. Eggman, right through his traps, and jumped on the floating platform that Eggman was standing on. I'm coming for you, said Sonic, and he jumped up, right to the platform and got so close because it was just too high to reach, even for Sonic. Sonic said damn and ran up the staircase that was in the middle of the big room that was under Eggman. Sorry, it was a really long run-on sentence. I had to get it all out in one go. Sonic ran to the top, and at the top, he jumped again from a higher spot, and this time reached the platform because it was easier to get to it. Now, you are mine, shouted Sonic right to Eggman in his ear. Excuse me. I am not going to fall this easily, said Eggman, who grabbed a crystal remote control out of his pocket and pressed a button on it that made a dome of lasers around Eggman. Get out of here, yelled Eggman. I am Eggman, and I will have my way with the treasures of this island, said Eggman. Eggman flew up higher on his platform, and Sonic had already fell from the lasers that were on the floating platform, so Sonic didn't get to go too. Eggman disappeared into a purple and black portal at the top of the ceiling, spelled S-E-A-L-I-N-G, and Sonic was left at the bottom of the room in the middle of the stairs. Amy still has to be here somewhere, and I need to get Tails out of that locked cage, said Sonic, thinking about what he should do next. Sonic ran up the stairs really fast and down the hallway to the top of the stairs on the second floor. Sonic picked a door and ran into the door. The room Sonic ran into had a big picture of an old man on it, and he just looked so old that it was like seeing a skeleton right there. Sonic said, this man probably died ages ago and left all of his money from being in real estate. Reala, R-E-A-L-A, space S-T-A-T-E, to his sons who build this place. Sonic thought this was not the right room to be in, so he left it and went to the next. This was the right room to be in. Sonic knew immediately. There was a big red bed, and Amy was tied with rope around her feet and hands, and there was another rope around her head with a lock in her mouth so she couldn't open it or say anything at all. Okay. Sonic ran right to the bed without doing anything before doing that and untied Amy. What? Okay. Sorry. Again, I'm reading ahead. Sonic ran right to the bed without doing anything before doing that and untied Amy with his sonic speed. Trademark. I'm so glad that you are here. Oh, sorry. I'm so glad that you're here. I should start making voices for all these characters. I should make this into voice acting. I'm so glad that you are here, said Amy. This prom is not turning out like I hoped it would when I bought this dress. Amy was wearing a pretty red dress that was like what she normally wears, but longer, and there were 2 flowers on the shoulders. Amy's dress also made her boobs look bigger, Sonic noticed. Sonic thought for just a moment that this was the perfect moment to get her to give sex to him. But he did not do it because Tails still needed help. At least he's got his priorities in order. Where is the key to open Tails' cage? Said Sonic to Amy. We need to open Tails' cage. He can't get out the cage. I saw Eggman putting a key in a safe behind the picture in the room you were just in, said Amy. So let's go get it. Amy and Sonic ran into the next room, and Sonic got there first. He is the faster one in the relationship. It's not always a good thing, honestly. Sonic punched his big, strong hand right through the painting like a bodybuilder, and he found the safe behind the... I think you need to be a bodybuilder to punch through a painting. Pretty sure it's just canvas. Pretty easy to puncture. This safe needs a password, said Sonic. What could it be? Sonic thought long and hard about everything he knew about Eggman. Sonic knew Eggman was a gay asshole who always ruined Sonic's plans to be the hero, and now he ruined Sonic's prom. Sonic tapped on his brain and thought even harder. Ow. Maybe the password is my name. Maybe the password is his name, said Amy. It was not, and Sonic knew it before Sonic put it into the safe lock. I love her for her body! Sonic is such an asshole. Who fucking says that? Sonic, come on, man. You can't be saying that. That's fucked up. What if the password is me? Finally shouted Sonic at Amy next to him. Amy, who was there, said, "What does this mean?" "What does that mean, Amy?" Sonic's girlfriend, in case you forgot, was confused. "It's Chaos Emeralds backwards. What he really wants, but messed up so he would not guess it," screamed Sonic, so happy. Sonic typed the password into the safe, and would you know it, it popped open, and there was this big key, so Sonic took it. Sonic ran down the stairs, and then Amy did, and Sonic opened Tails' cage, and Tails got out. "I'm so glad to be safe once again. Thanks to you, Sonic, the day is saved." Tails was smiling bigger than a crocodile having a silly dream, but Sonic was not. "What is wrong, Sonic? Everything is right now," said Sonic. What? Said Sonic. "No, it isn't," said Sonic, so mad and sad. "Eggman got away without a real punishment for what he did." Sonic shook his face at the sky? Sonic shook his face at the sky, thinking about how Eggman slipped away like a slippery balloon that Sonic let go of. "But we are all safe," Amy said. "That is what really matters." Sonic figured right then that Amy's superpower must be being nice, because he knew before it wasn't being smart, which Tails was best, and Sonic is also good at it too. Sonic did not even think about how his day at school was bad anymore, because his balls did not really even itch anymore. Okay. I'm good. Sonic laughed, Tails laughed, Amy laughed, and they all went home ready for the next day of high school. Oh, what an ending to that one. Chapter 4, Getting a Date. Sonic did like in the first chapter and went to school again. Now it's lunchtime and Sonic was in the lunchroom. Sonic was telling all the people at the table who were Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, Espio, and Jeremy B. I don't know these characters. About what did happen yesterday, but Tails already knew, so he was nodding his head like a good friend. "You should have seen it," said Sonic. "I was in the haunted house and I shot Eggman." "But I let him get away right before I could have killed him." Sonic laughed and Tails laughed at the same way. Knuckles said, "You should stop going on these cool adventures because high school is more important." Knuckles would never say this. Knuckles would never say that. Said Knuckles, and Sonic knew he was right because it's called Sonic High School, and it should be more about high school. So Sonic asked them all what they're up to. "Well, I'm entering the science competition," said Tails. "To win the science competition, I have to come up with the best invention, and my invention is this invisibility hat. It makes you invisible, but I can't do it right now because I have to make sure it works perfect for the science competition." Tails was so smart that Sonic knew he would win the science competition because Tails is like... Tails is like Einstein. Nerd, said Knuckles right into Tails' ear. What a bad guy. I'm just hanging out and not going to class because I want to cause trouble, said Knuckles. Knuckles was so bad that he would cause trouble. Sonic thought Knuckles was a fuck. Didn't Knuckles just say high school's more important? Shadow was next, and he was way badder than Knuckles, but in a different way. I'm not going to be around much longer, said Knuckles. He always did ... at the end of what he was saying, because it was mysterious. Where are you going, said Tails, because he was curious. I'm going to kill my parents! Hold on. Does Shadow even have parents? Does Shadow have parents? I thought he was like created or something, like in a lab. I should like DM Belkis. She's like the resident Shadow the Hedgehog expert. He doesn't. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Hold on, I'm going to at her on Twitter. I'm gonna at Belkis on Twitter. Hey. Shit, how do I say this? Hey, important question for Shadow the Hedgehog expert at Belkis Gamino. Does Shadow have parents? Asking for a friend. Thanks. Okay, we'll put a pin in that. Someone remind me to check Twitter in, in like an hour and see if she responds. See, this is how Shadow is worse than Knuckles. He did serious bad things. At least at the end of the day, Knuckles could sleep. Shadow was too dark for that. I'm going to go try out for the football team, said SBO. Noted, yes, thank you. SBO was athletic like Sonic, but not as fast, but he had a horn on his nose that was good for attacking people in front of him. So Sonic thought that he would be good at football? Oh, that kind of horn. I thought it was like a... Oh. Sorry. My fire occasionally loses audio, and it worried me for a second. I am going to go try out for the play, said Charmy B. Charmy B was loud and singing always. You're an annoying... What? Okay, this time he did say the slur. Okay. You're an amazing person, so you should do great, said Knuckles. Do not hurt my feelings, said Charmy. Charmy was used to being hectored. Last chance to look at me, Hector. Oh my god, Belkis responded instantly! Belkis responded instantly! She wasted no fucking time! Oh shit, hold on. He technically has 2 dads! Oh, how progressive. Professor Gerald Robotnik is his father in the sense that he physically created Shadow. However, he used DNA from Black Doom and Alien Overlord. With DNA, Black Doom is also Shadow's father. Interesting. I hate how fast I was able to respond to this. I was reading Sonic fan fiction that mentioned Shadow's parents and knew instantly who to ask for clarity. Thank you for your infinite wisdom. I love Belkis. Belkis is so great. Okay. Do not hurt my feelings, said Charmy. Charmy was used to being hectored, so he was able to remove himself from his potent fury. Did you see Rouge just now? Said Espio. She is looking so hot in her tiny bra. Espio obviously wanted to kiss her deep. You should ask her out, said Sonic. But the prom was yesterday, said Espio. Well, that is okay. You can date any time, said Sonic. Oh, said Espio. Well, then I am gonna kiss and sex her tonight. Espio was like a boy looking at his mom's boob for the first time. What? What? What's the dude who had like a mom complex? That's not Schadenfreude. No. Shit, I don't know my philosophers. I don't think that's a philosophy, actually. Oedipus? Oedipus? Is that it? I don't know, I think I know things. Oh, Belkis responded again. Reading fanfiction and admitting it in public, based as fuck. I'm teaching oh no, I'm enlightening chat, I should say. Enlightening the masses on Sonic fanfiction. I just wanted to be sure my lore was correct. Okay, let's get back to the mom thing. Sonic and Tails together were both looking at each other, and they wanted to help Espio. We are gonna help you get a date, said Sonic and Tails at the same time, simultaneously. And we're gonna do it right now, said Sonic and Tails. Sonic and Tails got up and both grabbed one of Espio's arms and dragged him across the room. Sonic did the most dragging because he was stronger. And put him right at Rouge. What is this about? Said Rouge with a questioning sound. She blinked her eyelids quickly like a race car. How do you blink like a race car? Okay. What do you want? What? Oh, sorry. What do you want? Why are you here? Espio looked right into her eyes with a passion, like 100 barking dogs, and said, Rouge, will you go out with me? Espio was sweating, and there were drops of sweat dropping off of his hands in front of her. Belkis! I mentioned Sonic fanfiction and it spawns her in. I like how the two times Belkis I've seen Belkis turn up, it's when I was looking at My Little Pony on W Place, and then now when I'm mentioning Sonic fanfiction. I hope this helps with your illness, Belkis. I hope that this brings warm tidings and health. Uh, I don't know. Oh, shit. I read the wrong voice again. I don't know, said Rouge and looked at Espio. Rouge gave him a sexy look that made Espio feel in love. Please do it, said Sonic and Tails together at the same time. Okay, we can go on a date tonight, said Rouge. Sonic and Tails and Espio were stoked and high-fived right there. By the time the night ended, one of them would have done their first sex. Now here's the hard part, said Espio. How do I put sex in her without getting in trouble? Sonic and Tails looked at each other and thought, uh-oh, and Espio walked out while holding on to... Espio walked out while holding onto Rouge's boobies because they are now boyfriend and girlfriend and it's allowed to do it. I mean... That's the natural progression of things, isn't it? He just has someone out and it's like, oh yeah, let's go on a date. And okay. Just magnetize your hands to chest. That's just how it is. Lesson learned. Sour tarts. That's how you gotta do it. Oh, this is literary masterpiece. Chapter 5, Preparations. It was the end of the day at school, and it was time that Sonic and Tails and Knuckles got back on the bus at the bus stop and boarded all the way home from school. We are on the bus now, said Tails. No more classes. Tails was happy, but sad because he is smart. Sonic and Tails sat down together, and Knuckles sat in the middle aisle, which he usually did not do, but sometimes did when not everyone was on the bus. It looked like Espio and Rouge were not on the bus because they were busy getting ready to go sex tonight, and now that they are boyfriend and girlfriend. Knuckles laid across the aisle, even more stretched out than when he just sat across 2 seats now because the limits were the Alpha and the Omega? Huh? How can we help Espio? I almost said Ezio. Said Sonic to Tails. I think he's doing alright by himself. Tails responded, I don't know, and thought about it on the bus. The bus drove bumpy on the bumpful roads all the way home, and then they all got out of the bus stop that they normally got in the bus, just like always. Sonic ran out of the bus, and then Tails, and then Sonic in order. Time to go home, said Tails. We are almost there. And they walked the rest of the way home. When they got home, it was dinner time, and Sonic was at a different home from Knuckles and Tails because they were all in different families, so they did not live together. And Sonic's mom made dinner. Sonic's mom made Chinese food, and Sonic ate it, and at the end there was a fortune cookie, and Sonic broke it open and ate the cookie part and kept the paper that was on the inside that held a special, or a magic fortune on it. Sonic looked at the fortune and read it to himself inside of his head. The path to glory begins at the base of your friend's penis. I'm gonna get that tattooed on me. It's gonna go right above the other tattoo I have, which... they will both have very similar meanings, I suppose. Said Sonic, inside of his head reading the fortune cookie paper, and he knew it was a good sign for what was about to happen tonight when Espio and Rouge went to sex. Then the phone ringed. Sonic ran to the phone and picked it up and said hello into it. It was Tails. I have an idea, said Tails, on the phone, to Sonic, who was listening, but not speaking. I can give Espio my invisibility hat for that science competition, and he can use it to do sex for Rouge? Sonic smiled so wide, like the King of Fire finding out he burned down New York City with only his powers. Sonic and Tails went to Espio's couch. Len, what the fuck? Listen, I didn't write the story. I mean, I'm telling legend around the campfire. This is legend that was passed through the woods, spoken of on the relaxing summer winds that slowly dissolved to autumn. And I am merely reciting. I am a mere vessel for the word of this author's Genius. Sonic and Tails went to Espio's house later, which was not too easy to walk to normally for most people, but Sonic is super fast, so he ran there and helped Tails get there too. Seeing as Tails is not as fast as Sonic, in case you forgot, they knocked on the house and Espio came to the door. Here is my invisibility hat that you can use with Rouge tonight to make sex in. It makes you... Sorry. It's just so well written that my brain is like trying to jump all over the place. It makes it impossible to see and impossible to hear when you are wearing the hat, or when someone who is wearing the hat wants you to also be impossible to see and impossible to hear. Screamed Tails, whose voice was a little hoarse from ordering food with the lunch lady, whose hearing was lost in an earthquake in her childhood. Insane lore drop for the lunch lady that we'll never meet again. Tails had to say things he wanted so loud, and she would still say, "What?" And Tails wondered why she even had ears if she wasn't gonna use them. Espio grabbed the invisibility hat from Tails' hands and said, "Cool, thanks." GRRM alt account. What is GRRM? Oh, did I say something? What is GRRM? I think I'm uncultured at that. Grum. Espio, author of Game of Thrones. Oh, G.R.R. Martin. Oh, I got you. Listen, if this is what George R.R. Martin was writing before Game of Thrones, I see why he still hasn't finished that book. Espio grabbed the invisibility hat from Tails' hands and said, "Cool, thanks," and kept going, so Sonic and Tails left and wished him luck from far away at their own homes. Back at home, Sonic thought that it would be so good that Espio would get to sex into Rouge, so then he could explain it to Sonic, and Sonic would know how to find Amy's sex spots. I'm not gonna break, I'm not gonna break. Fuck, I did lose my spot, though. So he could explain it to Sonic, and Sonic would know how to find Amy's sex spots even better, because otherwise he would have to read about it online, because all he knew about was kissing, which wasn't really sex, but it was probably kind of the same thing. And Sonic would just read about it online before talking about it anyway, and he would know the right words for the things then. Sonic sat on his chair that was in front of his Sonic computer and opened up Sonic Instant Messenger and messaged Amy, who was doing the same thing but at her home, and said, "Hey Amy, want to finally become true boyfriend and girlfriend by reaching sex this weekend." Sonic waited for a long time at his computer, and it seemed like Amy was not there because she did not respond. Sonic played games online and beat the final bosses because he was like an alien sent to Earth to destroy the... Oh my god. Why is everything named after Sonic? Listen, he just knows how to market himself. It's like... You just gotta know how to market yourself. Nothing was fast enough. Yeah. Oh, the computer. The Sonic Instant Messenger, the Sonic computer. It's all custom made because everything else just... The only problem with being faster than light is that you're always living in darkness. Sonic waited for a long time at his computer, and it seemed like Amy was not there because she did not respond to anything. Sonic played games online and beat all the final bosses because he was like an alien sent to Earth to destroy records set by others. Then finally, Amy responded. What Amy said was, "No way!" Sonic was so shocked, his brain must have felt like a total idiot. I mean, you can say a lot of things about this story. You can say a lot of things about this story, but one thing you can't say is that he doesn't know how to end a chapter. I mean, that is just... that's chef's kiss. Every single time, it's been perfect execution on how to transition into the next chapter. At least Sonic didn't feel like an idiot. Yeah, you know, you got to take the W's when he can. Oh my god. Reading this is like making me trip over my own words because it's like the writing is tripping over its own words. It's so inspiring. Exactly. Your brain may feel like an idiot, but so long as you don't feel like an idiot, that's all that matters. Hold on. I need to wet my whistle a little. My throat's getting dry. Okay. I think we're back. Chapter 6. Never mind, we're not back. Chapter 6. Espio and Rouge. Espio walked to Rouge's house because it was time for their date together. Ooh. And all as Espio... I keep wanting to say fucking Ezio. Maybe I gotta read like an Assassin's Creed fanfiction after this because I keep wanting to say fucking Ezio. Espio walked to Rouge's house because it was time for their date together. And all Espio could think about was that they were about to make sex for the first time. Espio looked at their computer and read about what to do and what the right words were so he would know how it works and how to say it right so no one would make fun of him. It was Rouge's house he was at now, and it was in front of him. Espio knocked Rouge's house door. I hope she is home, said Espio, and she was. She opened the door just then. Hello, I'm home, said Rouge, looking always sexy in her tiny... I'm sorry, I'm so bewildered by this expert writing. The author truly doesn't waste any words, no. This author makes great use of every single thing. Every instance, every pen stroke is done so with purpose. Every keystroke is with intent. Hello, I am home, said Rouge, looking always sexy in her tiny baby bra and big cool boobs. Espio thought she looked like the hottest woman in the world. Oh, fuck it, into the Rouge voice. Oh, sorry. That he could see from here. Where are you taking me for our date tonight? Whispered Rouge in a sex-filled voice. Did he seriously say cool boobs? No. He said tiny baby bra and cool boobs. Espio thought this one... Sorry. Espio thought this one over on the way over, so that he could just say it right the first time and get her to do what he wanted. That's sex. Well, said Espio, just let me put on this science hat and we will begin sex. Rouge looked shocked, but she was probably excited too. Espio could tell that they both had an erection? It's suddenly a much different kind of erotica. Hit me again with an AGM. A what? Sorry. I got flashbanged. I think my brain just factory reset with that last line. Air-to-ground missile. No, you have to be here to watch how this ends. Are you not invested? I mean, I need to know. Does the sex happen? What? Said Rouge in a shocked way. Right here. Espio said, yes, this hat was made by Tails specifically for our date. That makes it impossible to see and impossible to hear while I am wearing it. Espio did a cool face at her because he's being smart. Because being smart can be cool. So, fuck. Espio did a cool face at her because being smart can be cool too, so long as you're not a nerd ass. Rouge said, okay, let's go inside, and gently grabbed Espio's hands, but he pulled it back and she fell, causing him to fall, and they both together fell on the grass where they rolled around in it until they were about in the middle of Rouge's house's front lawn, so there was plenty of room around them for activities. No, said Espio, I want to make sex in you right here. And Espio put on the invisibility hat so no one could see or hear them, and a whole new world of possibilities were optioned to them so that they could do sex in whatever way they wanted, and it was time to start sex right now. Lurking. I don't... Do I want to read the sex scene? Do I really want to read the sex scene? I don't know if I really want to. I didn't think they'd actually have a whole paragraph dedicated to it. Won't you get banned? Yeah, probably. So, alright, let's figure out how I can censor this. Espio revealed his tech deck collection to Rouge, who looked at it. Rouge said, cool, and took out her tech deck ramp. Espio's tech deck was really cool from looking at Rouge. Like, when he is in church, and it's so boring, but you just buy a tech deck anyway. Rouge's deck looked like a surprise goat's. Espio's tech deck approached the ramp like a plane flying down at the airport, but instead of being full of businessmen, it's full of Espio's salad dressing. Nya? You want me to nya during every scene? Nya? You know, like nya. This is cultural appropriation, I think. Oh, jeez. Here it comes, cried Espio, ramming his Mauve Avenger? Into Rouge's tech deck ramp. Rouge screamed tech deck noises, and Espio messed around with her tech deck carrying bag and face like she was the X-Men arcade game. Espio slapped his big, awesome tech deck from side to side in her ramp like a... I'm just gonna read this one because it's vague enough that, but it's also really funny. Like a hot dog windshield wiper. And Rouge was ripping rats from the lawn. Then Espio used his tail to flip over the ramp. He can do this, in parentheses. And put his tech deck onto her other tech deck ramp. He moved the tech deck in circles in her tech deck grinding set. Like he was building a golf course and digging out the back nine. Maybe this is George R. Martin. Maybe this is George R. Martin's alt account. Rouge was flapping her bat wings like an idiot and not flying because Espio was holding on to her ramp and pressing into them with his fingers and leaving marks that looked like it said, wow? What? When combined... Alright, I'm just gonna skip over that next sentence. Espio used the tech deck again to flip her over and did an all-star tech deck performance, like using his board like a rolling pin on her face and grinding the tech deck on her belly button to see how far it could grind. Oh god, this is intense. Finally, they both got so happy that Espio's tech deck exploded, and the wheels came off, and it landed on her ramp, who was lying on the lawn, but nobody could see them, so it was okay. At that point, Espio screamed, "It's tech deck time!" And Rouge shouted, "Create a park in me!" Espio! Maybe I will have to start meowing to censor, because the tech deck thing, I don't know if I could keep being this creative. Creative with air quotes. Espio nya nya'd in her nya, and that was what happened. Now that they were done doing sex, they put their nya and nya away, and SBO took off the invisibility hat, and it was like nothing ever happened, but they both knew it did because they were there for it. Bye-bye, said SBO, and SBO walked off her property and away to his house and did the rest of the things until school happened the next day. Wasn't that just the greatest romantic scene you've ever heard? Oh my fucking god, the chapter name of this one. I'm not even gonna read it. Oh fucking lord. Oh god, what have I gotten myself into? I guess this is why you proofread things, kids. What the fuck? What the fuck? There is no title for chapter 7, actually. It's just chapter 7. How strange is that? We had front, yeah, whispered SBO at the people at his lunch table. SBO was at school in the lunchroom, and also was Tails and Knuckles and Charmy Bee and Vector too. I nared from my nya and into her body. Bet you haven't done that. They had not done that. Wow, cool, you're the coolest after Sonic, said Tails, who was right there, so he didn't have to shout. It was a good not to shout, because it was supposed to be a secret. Tails did not hear the whole school about Tails did not hear the whole school talking about SBO's nya and nya like Sonic in chapter 1, but in a different way. Sex. Parentheses. Yeah, speaking of Sonic, where is that? Okay. Where is that nya bag? Said Vector, who was the captain of the school's football team. Vector was good at this because he was big and strong and had sharp teeth under his mouth. Just kidding, said Vector's. Sonic is cool. I don't know, said Tails to Vector. Where Sonic was somewhere else, trying to find Amy, who was not at lunch. Sonic was knocking on Amy's door at her house. Are you home? What? Are you home? Said Sonic. Are you home? It was like Amy was not at home because she was not opening the door. She's probably at school. Sonic was worried about Amy because she was his only girlfriend. That's usually how it is. Why do they write like a 9-year-old? I've decided not to ask questions. I'm taking it at face value that they are just so far above us in terms of intellectual talent that it just seems immature to us. Sorry, what? Where was I? Sonic was worried about Amy because she was his only girlfriend, even if she denied his sex offer, so he ran into the door and barged it down like it was made of nothing. Sonic was now in Amy's house. Amy's house was really pink because that was Amy's color. Sonic looked around Amy's house for Amy, but Sonic could not find anyone. Sonic finally went into Amy's bedroom and opened the door up. What Sonic saw next was what he did not expect. Amy was there, tied up on her bed. This is the second time she got tied up. Tied up on her bed with a thing in her mouth so she couldn't talk. Sonic did a scream and ran over to Amy, who was looking at his with tears in her eyes. She looked sad and starved like... like what? Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm not saying that either. Sonic untied Amy and she sat up and cried into Sonic's arms. It was awful, said Amy. He came into my room in the evening and tied me up and messed up the things in my room. Amy was right. Her room looked messed up. So get a maid? Sonic, that's not how you respond to a break-in. Always thinking about, said Sonic, always thinking about a solution to problems. Who tied you up? Who was it? Be calm, Amy. Calm down and talk to me. Sonic patted Amy on the back to help her. It was Shadow. I saw him outside his house next door with a machine gun and a sword going in his house to kill his mom. Hey, that's going against the lore that Belkus told me. And he saw me. He knew I saw him, so he tied me up like a... I'm not going to read that in case it's a bad word. Amy said all of this. Sonic was shocked that Amy said this to him. He remembered now that in the other part when Shadow said he was going to kill his mom, but no one thought about it more than once, because Shadow was always a bad guy. What they didn't realize was that Shadow was serious. Specifically only breaks into a house to dirty it up. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a real bad man. I got charged with 10 counts of throwing your dirty dishes onto the counter and emptying your trash bag on your freshly mopped floor. I'm a real bad man. Can't contain me. Okay, was it him who also said that you would not have sex with me on Sonic Messenger? Said Sonic to Amy. Yes, I did not talk to you then, spoke Amy back to Sonic. So, how do you really feel about it? Said Sonic, whose brain was now humming with sex ideas. Shit, I don't know. It's the realest thing anyone said in this fucking story. Shit, I don't know. Said Amy, still worked up. Give me a day. Right now, let's get things right. So Sonic and Amy went back to school where everyone else was besides them. Sonic saw Espio walking around between a lot of other people. Hey, here you are, said Espio to Sonic and Amy. I had, with Rouge last night. I guess I could say sex, right? I could probably get away with it. I've been saying sex this whole time. I'll just keep saying sex, but if they get detailed, I'll say nya. I had sex with Rouge last night. Do not tell everyone. Fucking tugged everyone anyway. You've been fucking telling everyone this whole fucking time. Why is the first thing he thinks about after hearing she experienced a break-in is to lay pipe? Listen, Sonic has a one-track mind. He didn't even remember it was fucking prom night, despite paying money for a limo that immediately died. He was like, fuck, everyone knows about my literal wilting balls and Pinor, and how my girlfriend won't sleep with me because of my grotesque junk. And then they're like, oh, but prom. It's like, oh shit, right, fuck, almost forgot about that. And then even when he rescued her from Eggman's castle, he's like, so, I'm with you for your body, let's, wink wink, nudge nudge. It is, everything is with the sex with Sonic. Oh, that's right, you did. I almost forgot, said Sonic. Hear that, Amy? And Amy was like, yup. You gotta tell me all about it later, so I know what to do with Amy. And said Sonic, and then turned around. Sonic heard a sound coming from down the hall where someone was coming. It was a really fat guy that looked so huge to him. The fat guy got closer and closer until they could see who it was, and it was Rouge. What? What? Oh my god. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Whoa, you are so fat now, said Espio. What's that all about? Rouge looked mad and surprised at Espio. Well, you got me pregnant, said Rouge. Oh my god, thought Sonic to himself without saying it with the voice. She is pregnancy fat. This means she will have a baby. Holy shit, this guy must have been asleep in health class, I swear to god. Amy was smiling for real to Rouge. That's so nice. I hope you have a great baby, said Amy. Sonic tried to be a good boyfriend and said, hope your baby is cool, and smiled. Espio looked more worried than anyone else. So, I'm gonna be your baby's dad, said Espio, worried and excited, both. You better believe. No! Why does he like this word? Why does he like dropping that slur? He keeps saying it. I don't want it. Stop. Stop her saying it. Better believe it. Word that I won't say. Said a voice that sounded just like Shadow's. Oh man, why would Shadow say this? I gotta prepare the Google Doc. We have to cancel Shadow the Hedgehog for saying for saying that word so brazenly. Chapter 8. Things change. Shadow, Sonic said. Or shouted. It was Shadow there. Surprised to see me, said Shadow. We know what you did to your mother. Oh, sorry. We know what you did to your mother, screamed Amy like a crazy man. It was... Shadow cut her off and did not let her finish saying the sentence. You did not see anything. I am Shadow, and I know how to commit crimes. You think I have not killed a person before? I have. Shadow crossed his arms and sneered at Amy, looking at her. But, I saw you, then Amy said. You saw nothing. I stopped you, Shadow said. It doesn't matter. You were on your way inside your house to kill your mom, said Amy. Amy shook around because she was all nervous, and her smaller than Rouge, but still good. Does everything have to... It's like a fucking fan service anime where no matter what's going on, they gotta make sure the boob physics are good. Amy shook around because she was all nervous, and her smaller than Rouge's but still good boobs wiggled a little, and Sonic thought it was cool to see, and he wanted to support her. I did not kill my mom. I was going in my house to protect her from Dr. Eggman. Oh, okay, said Sonic, and Sonic and Espio went to class! Just leave your girlfriend and friends alone with a potential murderer in the class. You're like, oh shit, makes sense to me. Gotta go to history right now. He was trying to ship my Ultra Chaos Emerald Shards to space. Space? So he could collect them in his egg space station, said Shadow to Amy in an explaining way. We gotta do something about him. I understand that you had a reason to tie me up, but do not kill your mother. I was only kidding because the other guys were all being too important about themselves, and I do not think that is a good quality for high school students to be. High school students should be nice and caring and not talk about themselves like they are the best, because that will only make us all assholes, which isn't what we should be trying to be, Shadow said to Amy, and she understood that he was a good guy and had a reason for tiring her up on a bed, even if he had bad times when he was dark and did crimes in the cityscape. They both went to class in different directions, so the conversation ended. And now that's how you do conflict resolution. Later, after school, Sonic went on Sonic Messenger and talked to Espio. Hey Espio, how are you? Do you know what you're gonna do about being for Rouge's baby? He said to the computer. You cannot be fucking serious. Hold on. You can't be serious. I don't know why I'm being surprised by the subject matter that keeps getting brought up in this story. But you can't tell me. They're about to... Oh my god, dude, come on. They're about to pull a fucking Zootopia comic on me. It's just made April of this year. Yes and no. This fanfiction was around for a while, but the original got taken off of fanfiction. This was explained in the author's note. It's got taken down for like copyright or something. I'm guessing it's also because of some of the words that are said in the story and some of the subject matter. But the author said that they re-uploaded it recently. So, I mean, they're still proud of their work, evidently. That or they just don't care. I don't even know how I want to go about this. I guess I'm just gonna have to start Nyang again, right? Listen, Sonic, this is hard for me to say, Said SBO into the computer, which went right across the internet to Sonic. I want Rouge to get Nya. Sonic was upset because Rouge's baby would... Thank you for explaining what that is. Because Rouge's baby wouldn't, yeah. In fact, Rouge's baby wouldn't, yeah. There has to be another way, Espio, said Sonic in Sonic Messenger. But if you really want to do it, that's okay too, because it's your decision! What?! What?! What the fuck?! What the fuck?! Why?! How did we get here? How did we get to this? Oh. Mayhaps it is time we pick a different legend to speak of. This one is getting too real. Oh my god, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why does he say this? Why is this whole these last two chapters have been oh my god. Oh my god, what the fuck? Well, perhaps we can finish Sonic High School another day. Because holy shit, did that one just hit me like a fucking curveball to the noggin. I'm gonna hit the escape pod on that story. I don't need to see where that one goes right now. Oh my god. But oh god, sorry. I need to catch my breath after that one. But for the moment, we'll take a little breather here before we get on to our next story. I replenish my voice. I'm going to try to find the link to this next story. It is very long. This one could probably end up being its own, like, marathon stream, but it doesn't matter, because I'm going to read it anyway. I'll at least start it. I've never read this one before. I have only ever heard of it. I have only ever read, yeah, I have only ever heard of this story. I never, thank you for sharing that. I'm very sorry. No, I'm not. If I had to listen to that, if I had to read it, I'm glad you guys were here to suffer with me. This one is a little different. Like I said, I never read it. I heard about it, and I was in the fandom when it was coming out, so I know of it. But I never read it. I don't really know what it's about, but it is longer than War and Peace. So, like I said, this could be its own stream. However, we're gonna at least start it here. I actually don't know the quality of this. We're probably gonna have to put together a whole roadmap for this one. But, if you would like to grab yourself a roasted marshmallow and a nice cup of joe, get yourself comfortable, because like I said, this is going to be a long one. You thought that last one was bad? Yeah, it kind of was. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, it was pretty terrible. But this one, I'm going in blind. I don't know the subject matter. I mean, I kind of do, because I read the description when I was, like I said, when it was coming out. But I don't know the quality. I don't know what the hell we're getting into. But may I present to you all, you lovely, lovely campers who decided to get warm with me next to the fire tonight. This next tale comes from the legend known as K-Cat. And it is the epic, yes, I do say epic, titled Fallout Equestria. Introduction. Once upon a time, in the magical land of Equestria, there came an era when the ideals of friendship gave way to greed, selfishness, Paranoia and jealous reaping of dwindling space and natural resources. Scarier than horror. Lands took up arms against their neighbors. The end of the world occurred much as we had predicted. The world was plunged into an abyss of balefire and dark magic. The details were trivial and pointless. The reasons, as always, purely our own. The world was nearly wiped clean of life. A great cleansing, a magical spark, struck by pony hooves, quickly raged out of control. Mega spells rained from the skies. Entire lands were swallowed in flames and fell beneath the boiling oceans. Pony kind was almost extinguished, their spirits becoming part of the ambient radiation that blanketed the lands. A quiet darkness fell across the world, but it was not, as some had predicted, the end of the world. Instead, the apocalypse was simply the prologue for another bloody chapter in pony history. In the early days, thousands were spared the horrors of the... I can say that, right? I can say that, right? I don't know what Twitch says. In the early days, thousands were spared the horrors of the nuclear holocaust by taking refuge in enormous underground shelters known as stables. But then when they emerged, they had only the hell of the waste to greet them. All except those in Stable 2. For on that fateful day, when spellfire rained from the sky, the giant steel door of Stable 2 swung closed and never reopened. Prologue of Pit Bucks and Cutie Marks. If I'm going to tell you about the adventure of my life, explain how I got to this place with these people, and why I did what I am going to do next, I should probably start by explaining a little bit about pit bucks. What is a pit buck? A pit buck is a device worn on a foreleg just above the hoof, issued to every pony in the stable when they became old enough to start work. A blending of unicorn pony magic and science, your pit buck will keep a constant measure of your health and even help administer healing pulses and other medicine. Track and organize everything in your saddle packs, assist in repairs, and keep all manner of notes and maps available at a hoof tap. Plus, it allows you to listen to the stable broadcast whenever you would like, as it can tune into and decrypt just about any radio frequency. And that's not all. A pony's pit buck generates an EFS, eyes forward sparkle, that will indicate direction and help gauge whether the ponies or creatures around you are hostile. And perhaps most impressively, a pit buck can magically aid you in a fight for brief periods of time through the use of SATs, Stable Tech Arcane Targeting Spell. Oh, and a feature not to be forgotten. It can keep track of the location of tagged objects or people, including the wearers of other pit bucks. So if a pony somehow got lost, don't ask me how you can get lost in a stable. But it does happen on occasion. Then any pony who knew the lost pony tag could instantly find them. It can even be made to glow like a lamp. So yes, pit bucks really are a testament to unicorn pony arcane science. And yes, having a pit buck is a big advantage. So with how wonderful and miraculous all that just sounded, it's hard to impress upon ponies who never lived in a stable just how ordinary, how pedestrian a pit buck was in the eyes of the ponies living in Stable 2. And why I was disappointed to have one as my cutie mark. Every pony in Stable 2 had a pit buck. All that stuff I mentioned, most ponies don't use even half of that. They just used it to tune into the stable broadcast, listen to the sweet, sweet voice of Velvet Remedy in the evenings, or the latest school singing competitions during the day. Stable had 2 soccer leagues, one of which allowed SATs and one which prohibited it. Otherwise, most ponies paid their pit bucks almost no attention at all. The overmare issues each pony with their own pit buck on the day of their cutie mark party, usually a day or two after you get the mark on your flanks that tells every pony what makes you special, what you're destined to be good at. Once it shows, the overmare knows what work to assign you. You know your place in the stable. So no, I was not thrilled that what made me special was something that every pony had, which was a lot like being told I wasn't special at all. Sure, getting a pit buck as my cutie mark could have meant that I was destined to become an awesome pit buck repair filly or something. But in reality, it was just like getting a cutie mark of a cutie mark. It's getting cold in here, I had to turn off the fan. Oh. The hell was that? Okay. Nothing, I guess. Did my audio still work? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Hello? Something disconnected then reconnected. I just want to make sure I'm still going good. Hello? 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 It says I'm still getting audio. Okay. We can hear? Okay. Huh, that was strange. Alright. Didn't help that I was the last pony to get her cutie mark. Not surprising in retrospect. Kinda tough to find when you're supposed to be good at. When you're supposed to be good at is something you don't get until you found what you're supposed to be good at. So I tried everything. I even tried to invent new things. As a unicorn pony myself, my innate magics allow me a level of fine manipulation that earth ponies don't enjoy. Any pony can hold a key in their teeth and open a lock, but using multiple tools in a very delicate operation, that requires precision levitation. So I decided to learn to pick locks with a bobby pin and a screwdriver. And I was getting pretty good at it. Unfortunately, it didn't get me my cutie mark. It just got me into trouble. I even, to my humiliation, went through the CAT, Cutie Mark Aptitude Test. Cutie Mark Aptitude Test. In the hopes that it would guide me to what made me special. But no, my cat was utterly average, with only marginally higher scores in a couple areas, indicating that I might be suited for work as a pit-buck technician or a stable loyalty inspector. Two options, I should note, that were even less impressive when you considered that it was generally expected that unicorn ponies would go either technical or administrative work. That is, except the unicorn ponies, who are natural artists, like Velvet Remedy. As I said before, our inherent magic allows us the sort of fine manipulation that technical work demands. Likewise, the Overmare and her government were always unicorn ponies. It is the Overmare's unicorn magic, after all, that creates the false sunlight used to grow our underground apple orchard. And while our apples might not look like those beautiful red things in the old books, they're what keep us alive. It was only because they let me try my hooves at both positions that I gained access to a pip-buck before I received my own. Otherwise, I might have never gotten my cutie mark. Adjusted in my chair real quick. Oh, my name is Little Pip. Go figure. I was given that name because I was the youngest and the smallest. And even my mother had the good sense to not call me Pipsqueak. Not that I don't love her, but when a filly's cutie mark is a glass of hard apple cider. Anyway, funny how names like that turn out sometimes. Pleased to meet you. Here is my story. Finally, Chapter 1, Out of the Stable. Because in Stable 2, no pony ever enters, and no pony ever leaves. Gray. The walls of the maintenance stalls were a very monotonous, dull gray. The particular wall I was staring at had the merit of being a very clean gray. Pit-bucks were notoriously hardy and reliable, so being the stable's pit-buck technician meant there were long periods of nothing to do. Being the pit-buck's technician apprentice meant that I was assigned all the mundane chores, while my trainer took extended naps in the back room. Chores like cleaning the walls. Swall needs a mural. I let myself fantasize, picturing the Overmare agreeing and ordering Palette herself to turn our entire stall into one of her brightly colorful masterpieces. Palette was the greatest painter in Stable 2, and like every skilled artist, that made her a stable treasure. Life in Stable 2 inevitably began to eat at your spirit. You were born in the stable. You lived your whole life in the stable. You were going to die there. And the course of your life was largely laid out for you to see by your cutie mark party. So the Overmare insisted that a new song be added to the stable broadcast repertoire each week. That public areas were brightly painted and adorned with uplifting and motivational murals, and that regular parties were planned at the atrium, all in an effort to distract and stave off depression. Reality came crashing back as I stared into the eternally blank gray. Beautifying maintenance areas were tragically low priority already, and the pit-buck technician stall was one of the least trafficked parts of maintenance. I felt my ears droop as I started to realize that I'd be staring at the same gray wall nearly every day for the rest of my life. Oh dear, is it really that bad? And there she was, Velvet Remedy, the gorgeous charcoal-coated unicorn with streaks of color in her white mane, with a voice as smooth as silk and rich as fine as chocolate. I was standing in the doorway of my stall. I felt immediately grateful that I'd finished cleaning and simultaneously ashamed that the room was so beneath her. I couldn't believe that she was standing there. I'd seen her on the stage above us at late parties. I'd listened to her songs incessantly, recording every new one on my pip-buck so that I didn't have to wait to hear it again. I'll admit it now, I'd had a crush on Velvet Remedy for years. Me and at least 300 other ponies. My mother would laugh at us at that. My mother used to laugh at that. Little Pip, she would say, chortling with her friends. Velvet Remedy's barn door doesn't swing that way. It took me a couple years to understand what my mother meant by that. And it took me several seconds to process that Velvet Remedy had just asked me something. Huh? Wonderful response, Little Pip. So elegant. I wanted to dig my way through the concrete floor and pull the chunks over top of me. She smiled sweetly. She smiled at me, and in that amazing voice, "You looked so heartbroken when I came in. Is there anything I can do?" Velvet Remedy offered to help me. I was shocked back to my senses. Velvet Remedy must have had some reason to be down here, some pit-buck reason. It wasn't like she would go around wandering around maintenance. After all, looking around, I realized that I was the only pony on duty. My teacher was, as usual, asleep in his office. Oh, no, it was nothing. I tried to regain my composure. How may I be of assistance? Velvet Remedy's expression was both compassionate and unconvinced, but she lifted a forehoof, raising her pip-buck up to my gaze. A more elegant model than mine, with her initials and cutie mark, a beautiful bird with wings outstretched and a beak opened in song, embellishing it tastefully. I hate to be a bother, and it began to chafe. Did you replace the padding? Oh, absolutely. I was already levitating the special keys used to unlock a pip-buck from a pony's foreleg. As an apprentice pip-buck technician, I had all manner of special precision tools in the pockets of my utility barding. I'll have it done in right quick. The pip-buck came off with a click. Velvet Remedy chuckled hesitantly, lowering her hoof. Oh no, that's all right. Take your time. I'm gonna put some salve on this leg back in my room and rest up for the afternoon. That's right. Velvet Remedy was performing at Stable 2 Saloon tomorrow night. I would have to polish it up, make it worthy of being worn above her hoof. If I spent all night on it, I could give it the full tune-up, having it running as smoothly as the day she got it. I'd still have it back to her before the show. All right. I'll have it back to you by this time tomorrow. You won't be disappointed, I promise. She smiled at me again, and all the gray in the world couldn't darken my day. Thank you. And when she turned to go, I watched as her cutie mark disappeared around the doorway. And then she was gone. The next day, I was whistling one of Velvet Remedy's songs as I walked down the halls towards her room. Her pip-buck was hovering alongside me in a field of magical levitation, freshly padded with the best lining I could find, looking shiny and new. I was tired from a long night of work, but in high spirits. Velvet Remedy was going to be so happy with my work. Turning the corner, I was startled out of my reverie by the mass of ponies gathered outside Velvet Remedy's room. Damn, I was gonna have to battle my way through hoof print seekers and paparazzi. Levitating the pip-buck higher, I started to shove my way into the crowd. She's gone! How could she leave? The hushed voices and panic whinnies around me grew alarming. Why would she abandon us? Gone? Velvet Remedy was gone? And then the words that stopped me cold. I didn't even think the stable door could open. What are we reading now? We're reading Fallout Equestria, a book longer than War and Peace, or fanfiction longer than War and Peace. And honestly, this one is written with a lot of love, I can tell. They are creating the whole lore for this. And then the words that stopped me cold. I didn't even think the stable door could even open. She was gone outside? Don't worry, every pony, boomed the voice of the overmare from somewhere in the crowd. I have a tag of each and every pony in the stable. I will personally sound out a rescue party. We'll have our Velvet back at the end of the day. Worry not. I felt I was drowning in cold, wet cement. My gaze slowly moved back towards the pip-buck floating above me. I lowered my head, slowly trying to back out of the crowd, curling the floating pip-buck close. When the overmare brought up Velvet Remedy's tag, it would lead every pony not to Velvet but to her pip-buck sitting in maintenance. With a thump, I backed into some pony, startling me enough that the levitation field evaporated in a poof, and the clean, shiny pip-buck clattered to the floor. Turning, I found myself eye to eye with the overmare. She didn't speak, her gaze turning to the pip-buck on the ground, Velvet Remedy's initials and cutie mark clearly visible. What is this? The overmare spoke slowly and dangerously. All eyes turned to me. I could feel every pair of eyes. Nobody spoke. Silence bore down like a lead blanket. My mouth went dry. I couldn't find my voice. I didn't need to. I could feel a wave of loathing. Dozens of Velvet Remedy's fan ponies, and I was the pony holding the reason why their idol was lost to them. The overmare's voice was low and surprisingly gentle. Take it and go to your room. Swiftly. She didn't need to tell me twice. I lay on my bed that evening, poking at Velvet Remedy's Pip-Buck, as the radio in my own played yet another reiteration of the tragedy that day. I couldn't believe it. Velvet Remedy was gone. I couldn't understand. How could she leave? Why would she go? The door outside Stable 2 was closed and sealed. Only the Overmare knew the secrets to open it. Assuming it could even open, which, obviously, it could. But why? Nobody really knew what was outside. If there was anything out there at all, historic books suggested the world outside was blasted, lifeless, and poisonous. That was, at least, the common and logical assumption. But a ghost story some pony told me at my first and only slumber party had given me horrible nightmares, and still lurked in the shadows of my head. A tale of a pony who somehow got the stable door open and stepped outside, only to find that there was no outside, just a great nothingness that whisked the pony away, devouring her soul so that she was nothingness too. Empirically, I knew that that wasn't the case. Mental image still haunted me. Two things I did not understand was that Velvet Remedy had gotten me to remove her Pip-Buck so the Overmare couldn't track her with it, and that I was screwed. Being the smallest pony my age and last to get my cutie mark did not facilitate building friendships with my peer ponies. Mother didn't help either, nor did waking up screaming at my first slumber party. So I was used to being alone, but I'd never had enemies before. I'd been beneath the notice of other ponies, but never had one hate me. I really couldn't blame them either, even though it wasn't fair. They were upset and hurt, and they needed a scapegoat. The news hadn't mentioned me by name, just Velvet Remedy's custom-decorated Pip-Buck was found in the possession of a Pip-Buck technician pony. But with a whole two of us, it wasn't hard for every pony to figure out, even without the scene outside her room earlier. The Overmare was speaking on the radio. We were all feeling this loss, but I want to remind every pony that Velvet Remedy chose to do this. She chose to leave her home, to abandon us, her family. She betrayed my trust, and she betrayed yours, just as she betrayed the trust of the pony she tricked into removing her Pip-Buck, ensuring that we could not find her. I know many of you are angry or hurt. I urge you to direct that anger where it truly belongs. As thankful as I was for her words, it wasn't going to change the resentment that I would face every day. Even if every pony kept it to themselves, it hung in the air like old smoke. I distracted myself with the errant Pip-Buck, taking note of an encrypted file. I'd spotted it yesterday, figuring it was probably just an unfinished song. Didn't want to open it, both out of respect for Velvet Remedy's privacy and a dislike of spoilers. But I guess it didn't matter anymore. The song would never be played. Opening a pouch on my utility barding, I withdrew an access tool that would allow me to remove the encryption safely and easily. It was a sound file. I played it. The override code for opening the door to Stable 2 is CMC3BFF. I shot up in surprise what I had heard. Swiftly, I turned off the radio and played it again. I didn't recognize the voice. It was female, kind of sweet. A strange accent that didn't sound like anyone in the stable. But now I knew how Velvet Remedy left. I must have been there for hours, contemplating what I should do, but finally I made my choice. I was going to go outside after her, and I was going to bring her back. I stood there, staring at the huge steel doors that sealed Stable 2 away from the horrors or nothingness outside, and at the two guard ponies who blocked my way. I had saddlebags packed with apples and necessities, even a big book of arcane sciences for something to read. I had two canteens around my neck. I was ready to go, but the Overmare was making sure that there were no follow-up acts. Insistence and glowering looks weren't getting me anywhere. My horn was glowing, but they stood their ground, unimpressed. They weren't going to let me anywhere near the control panel. "Hey, aren't you the filly who got our velvet lost outside anyway?" One of the guards inquired daringly, taking a bullying step forward. The other guard looked away in disgust. I'm not even sure if he was disgusted at me, or he felt like the Overmare seemed to about ponies wanting... Or if he felt like the Overmare seemed to about ponies wanting to take it out on me. I was kind of hoping it was the former, considering what I was about to do to them. Thud. The metal footlocker above them dropped onto their heads, knocking them both out cold. Earth ponies. They never see that levitating something up above... They never see that levitating something up behind you trick coming. I was at the controls, entering the passcode from Velvet Remedy's Pip-Buck, when the Overmare's voice boomed through the speakers. "Stop! I order you to stop this instant." Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. "Guards, I want every guard pony at Stable 2 door. Stop that filly." Oh crap. My hooves flew up to the main switch for the door, and I prayed to Celestia that the code worked. Then, with all my strength, I threw the switch. A loud clanging filled the air, followed by a hissing of steam and a great rumble that shook the room. As I watched, the massive bolt that held the door from Stable 2 shut slid back. A huge hinge arm swung down, attaching itself to the door, and with a teeth-hurting squeal, pulled the massive steel door out and away. Randomly, I found myself thinking in my mother's voice, Stable 2's barn door doesn't swing that way. A door to Stable 2 wasn't supposed to swing at all. Even though I threw up the switch, I was stunned to see it actually open. You don't have to do this, little Pip, is it? The Overmare's voice kicked me out of my stupor. I can hear the hooves of galloping guards drawing near. I took a step back towards the door. Don't worry, I'll bring her back. No, you won't. If you leave here, you'll never be let back in. For a moment, the unfairness stung. The Overmare was willing to send out a search party to bring Velvet Remedy back, but then Velvet was special, and I was not. Part of me wanted to turn back right there, crawl back into my room in dreary but safe life. Drawing myself up, I stepped out the door. With a final hiss and clang, the steel door Stable 2 behind me closed. With a final hiss and clang, the steel door of Stable 2 closed irrevocably behind me. I don't know what I expected to find behind that door, but it certainly wasn't this long, dark hallway that smelled of rotting timbers and sepulchre air. I was no longer in the stable, but I wasn't outside yet either. I was in limbo. Turned on my Pip-Buck's light, and recoiled with a gasp at the skeletons of long-dead ponies which littered the hall. The outside of the stable door was marred from where ponies had slammed into it until their hoods cracked and shattered, trying to get in. Moving forward quickly, I discovered that the hallway opened into an old room with stairs leading up to a horizontal door with a shattered lock. The entrance from the outside world into Stable 2 had been cleverly disguised as the door to a humble apple cellar, and by disguised I meant that the person who built it had been building an apple cellar. Taking a deep breath, I trotted up the stairs, swung open the cellar door, and stepped outside. End of Chapter 1. The writing quality, the difference in writing quality is, like, insanely different. Like, incomparable, almost. This one has, like, serious passion and love and creativity behind it. Alright, hold on. I will take a quick bathroom break and get some more water. I encourage you to do the same. We'll continue Chapter 2 in about 5 minutes. Run a little ad break. Ugh. I'm back. I will wait for the commercial break to end before I continue this wonderful tale. And I'll also munch on these deviled eggs I have procured from the woods. Don't eat eggs that you randomly find in the woods. What's going on with me? Why am I jumping around so much? Delicious. 15 seconds. Hope you guys are enjoying story time by the campfire. It's very relaxing, isn't it? Such wonderful tales to be told. Such wonderful memories to be made by a campfire. Well, welcome back from the ads. I shall continue now with chapter 2. My mouth move? I feel like my mouth doesn't move enough. Okay, it does move. One less little sip. Oh god, oh god. I can't. Oh dear. Okay. Lock in. Chapter 2. Equestrian Wasteland. What worlds do you live in? Out here in the real world? Blood flows, little pony. Blood flows. Nothingness. My first several seconds outside were a heart-bursting eternity of hoof-pounding terror. The story had been right. All that outside was a great black nothingness. It surrounded me, suffocating. If I had been able to draw breath, I would have screamed. And then my eyes began to adjust to the darkness. Began to calm, gasping, feeling weak, and not just foolish. In my defense, I'd never experienced night before. Not really. Sure, I'd always turned off the lights before curling into bed, but that darkness was small, confined to my little room, and there was always the glow from under the door. The hall lights of Stable 2 were eternal. This was different. A cool air, quite unlike anything within the stable. It tickled my coat and chilled my skin beneath. It bore smells that were dank and rotting, dusty and alien. I could hear the sounds of night insects, creaking of wood and far-off sloshing, but I was struck more by what I couldn't hear. The constant low hum of stable generators and the ever-present high whine of the lights were gone, so powerful in their absence that I first mistook the outside as silent. I could feel dirt and broken stone beneath my hooves, so unlike the smooth and sterile floors I had trotted all my life. And though I could not see much or far, I could see further than I ever had before. There were no walls to mark the end of the room. I was staring into a horizontal abyss that stretched out from me in every direction. An entirely new panic began to form within me. My hind legs went out from under me, and I sat stunned. I turned my gaze to the ground, breathing deeply, thanking it for not only holding me up, but being a visual endpoint. Then I made the mistake of looking up into the sky and seeing the absolute nothingness, the absolute endless upness of it sent my head spinning and my stomach lurching. Great masses of clouds rolled over most of the sky, but there were gaps through which soft light poured, and through those I could see it went on forever. Insanely, I thought of the clouds as a great net, made to catch me if I fell from the earth into the yawning gulf above. But if I slipped through the holes, I would just fall up forever. I clenched my eyes shut and tried to keep from vomiting. The fear and queasiness was intense, but passing. Once my faculties returned, I began to notice things that had escaped me in my initial panic. Surrounding terrain was becoming evident. The world around me did not stretch out evenly. The ground heaved and rolled, hills creeping towards mountains. The earth was punctured by the up-thrusting black fingers of long-dead trees. Along distant hilltops, I could see the swaying, leaf-shrouded branches of healthier woods, but the living trees near Stable 2 were few, scattered, and sickly. Second, I noticed that my pitbook was flashing with a host of alerts. The map marker was already beginning to do work on my new and unfamiliar surroundings, and to my surprise, it already put a label from the ether, Sweet Apple Acres. Oh, interesting. Turning around to get my bearings, my eyes were drawn to the large, hollowed husk of what I assumed to have been a magnificent house. Now it creaked and swayed in the breeze as if threatening to collapse. Looking to my pip buck again, I noticed that it was picking up several radio transmissions. The radio broadcast from Stable 2 was dark, but new stations had taken its place. My heart leapt, for it was the first indication that there might be pony life out here after all. I nudged my pip buck to start playing the first station on the list. Still sealed up. There's no way inside. My son, he ate one of the apples from those damned apple trees up near the stable, and now he's terribly sick. Too sick to move. We've holed up in the cistern near the old memorial. We're running out of food and medical supplies. Please, if any pony hears this, help us. Message repeats. Hello? Is any pony out there? Please, we need help. I was bringing my family to the stable up near Sweet Apple Acres when we were attacked by raiders. Only my son and I survived. We made it up to the stable, but it's still sealed up. There's no way inside. My son, he ate one of the apples from those damned apple trees up near the stable, and now he's terribly sick. Too sick to move. We've holed up in the cistern near the old memorial. We're running out of food and medical supplies. Please, if any pony hears this, help us. Message repeats. Hello? A voice was filled with terrible resignation, as if the pony had already given up hope and was just starting to go through the motions. Shaken, I turned it off. I didn't think I could bear to hear it again. That's when I noticed the soft ticking from my pip buck. Checking it over, I discovered that its radiation detector, a feature I had never known to be used, had self-activated. The cute little rainbow dial had always been planted firmly in the green. It was still there, but edging discreetly towards the yellow. I couldn't just stand here beside what had long ago been the door to a simple apple cellar for the rest of my life. Well, I could, but it would be a relatively short and miserable life. Realization was dawning on me. With so many directions to go, what was the likelihood that I would choose the same path that Velvet Remedy had followed? Even though she had only a few hours head start, the prospect of finding her was bleak. But I had to start somewhere, and the best chance I had was to get up high and have a look around. The ruins near me rose higher than any of the nearby trees, and the sheared-off roof of its upper tower was probably the best vantage point I could hope for. I closed my eyes, steadied myself, and went inside. What was left of the Sweet Apple Acres building proved sturdier than it looked, or sounded. It was almost barren. Anything of value that had survived had been looted, leaving only scraps that nobody wanted, but that time itself seemed unable to erase. Rusted shoes, boxes of soaps for cleaning dresses that no longer existed, a pitchfork with a shattered handle, a rake. I began up the stairs. My eyes were alerted to a feeble glow, the soft green color of a poisoned apple, bathing the room above. The glow came from a screen of an old terminal, a device of arcane science identical to the ones used throughout Stable 2. It seemed miraculous that it still worked after centuries on the outside, but when Stable Tech built something, they built it to last. Curiosity lured me to it, and my wonder was quickly replaced with understanding. No coincidence that this particular terminal was live, for it was on a fresh message. To any pony who has left Stable 2 in search of me, please go home. I'm doing what I have to do. The Overmare understands, even if she can never agree, and I hope that one day you will too. I will not be back. Do not look for me. Do not endanger yourself any further for my sake. Please forgive me. Velvet Remedy. I searched the terminal for more, but all the other messages were ancient and corrupted, save for one. And that one had a rather unique encryption, something I had heard of but never seen before. A binary encryption, such that in order to decrypt it, I would first have to download the message into my pip-buck from both the terminal, which had been used to send it, and the one upon which it was received. Having nothing better to do with the vast amount of storage my pip-buck was capable of, I downloaded it. In reality, I knew that the chances that I would ever come across the companion terminal, much less that it would be functional, were overwhelmingly against me, in order to have any reason to believe a message centuries old would be of any fair significance. More importantly, I knew that I now had to face the outside of my new home. Even if I found Velvet Remedy, I was unlikely she would accompany me back. I'll admit, I had been subtly entertaining a fantasy where the Overmare would be so delighted with Velvet's return that she would embrace us both back into the herd. Maybe even throw me a party. Now I was forced to admit how foolish that vision was. Thinking upon this made my head fill with black clouds. But I reached the top of the ruins and I looked out over the wasteland. A bright light, feeble as it was, flickered in that darkness. Just as the light from the campfire, not a half an hour's trot distance, poked an orange hole in the night. As I approached the circle of firelight, I knew something was off. Something about the way the dusty beige unicorn was laying on his mat of straw, legs curled under him. some tenseness in his body language. But it wasn't until I stepped hoof into the light and got a good look, a warm hello dying on my lips, saw that he was gagged, and caught in the glint of the flames against a few exposed the links in the chains binding his hooves. Well, looky here. Walked up all nice and pleasant, didn't she? Rather large earth pony emerged from the shadows of a nearby rock. His hooves clacked metallically under the rocky ground, shod in cruelly spiked pony shoes. Two more ponies slid out of hiding on opposite sides. One another earth pony holding a shovel whose blade had been lethally sharpened. The other unicorn whose glowing horn levitated towards me in a short instrument of wood and metal with two barrels. Each pony wore barding made from thick hide. Much like Night, I had never seen a firearm before, save for pictures and books. Those books were more explicit enough for me to recognize the mortal threat. The bound unicorn on the mat shook his head with with a sad yet derisive look, and then began trying to scrape the gag away with a forehoof, no longer making an effort to keep the chain secret. 3 ponies menacing me spared him only the occasional glance. Might as well trust yourself up for us, the gun-wielding unicorn snickered, then addressing me. You wouldn't mind, would you? Laughter. And another unicorn, too. She'll fetch a pretty price, this one. A price for what? And from whom? The one holding the shovel spear in his mouth mumbled something incomprehensible. Then, apparently deciding the gun was sufficient deterrent, spat out his weapon and reiterated. By the go, I mean, look at her. I think she's taking a bath. I was suddenly and bizarrely aware of how filthy all the 4 ponies were, and how they smelled. I managed to cover a gag with a sneeze. What's going on? I asked. The emotions battling for supremacy in my head, confusion had clawed its way to victory. The captive unicorn finally succeeded in pulling a filthy gag free. They're slavers, you idiot. Monterey Jack, the dirty beige unicorn with a dour expression and a cutie mark that looked like cheese, followed behind me as we trudged alongside our captors, walking a broken path that once was a road. My legs were in chains, making walking difficult and anything more speedy than a trot impossible. My pit buck had stymied the slavers' efforts to bind my forelegs, eventually forcing them to chain me above the knees. Had the one with the shovel spear not been holding its point dangerously against my throat, the other 2 would have gotten a few hooves to tender places for their efforts. As it was, they made short work of me. I was not gagged, but Monterey had convinced me early that unnecessary chatter from the slaves to be would likely result in the loss of my tongue. Not that I had much to say to these brutes anyway, aside from my repertoire of colorful metaphors. I didn't expect they would tripping over myself again. I didn't expect they would answer my questions, even if my tongue should survive the asking, and they were being chatty enough with each other to suffice. Hate that fart, grumbled the earth pony with a spear clenched in his teeth. Well then, if you would just learn to swim, we could take the long way, couldn't we? Suggested the unicorn with poise and sweetness. Hey, swiffy. By a smell decidedly more pungent than the others, I guess he just hated water in general. How about you stop complaining, I'll let you sample one of the slaves before we get to the forest. Their leader, the earth pony named Cracker with the spiked shoes and a cutie mark that looked suspiciously like a whip, or maybe a snake, turned back towards Monterey and I with a filthy smile. I looked away. They laughed. Through their disgusting dialogue, I could hear a liquid sound ahead. Not like a burbling water fountain, but closer to a sloughing muck. And something else? Distant sound getting closer. Music. Yes, music. Slightly tinny, yet triumphant, regal. I couldn't quite put my hoof on exactly what music was trying to inspire, but it was brightly out of place. Cracker took note of my expression and smirked. You look like you never heard that before. What, you lived your life in a stable? I was hoping for the cavalry. That ain't... Oh, fuck. If you're hoping for the cavalry, this ain't it, Philly. That's just one of them sprat bots. The music cut off with a sharp twang. Unicorn slaver, sawed off, trotted ahead a bit, peering down at the path ahead. Turning back to the rest of us, he smirked. Think one of the ratigators got it? Like I just gave these guys, like, fucking... Cracker is wild. Like I just gave these guys, like, deep southern accents. I just decided that these guys were like hillbillies. Cracker suggested it flew into some pony's booby trap. The other Earth pony suggested a mouthful of spear-mangled mumbling. The unicorn turned forward again, and the glow from his horn illuminated the machine. Metal ball about the size of a foal's head floating on four, silently flapping wings. Hovering silently right in front of his face. No arcane science this, I could tell. It was pure Earth pony engineering. Fuck! Sawed-Off leapt back a full pony's length in surprise, then swung a shotgun to bear and fired it at the Sprite Bot. The sound was like a metal plate falling from the ceiling, and it echoed through the night-darkened hills. Sparks specked the metal bat as it was peppered and scattershot, let out an electric whine, and darted into the darkness. The unicorn almost took off after it, but Cracker's voice cut the distance between them. That's enough, Sawed-Off. Save your ammo. Damn it, I hate when they pull that stealthy shit. It's a flying fucking radio. It's not supposed to sneak up on ponies. My ears were burning from the free flow of crude profanity, but I didn't mind. I was mulling over what I had just seen. Idiot, muttered Monterey Jack under his breath. They heard that all the way in Ponyville. Fuck, I don't know what kind of voice to give Pepper Jack. I have a feeling... Or Monterey Jack, sorry, not Pepper Jack. I like Pepper Jack. They heard that all the way in... Fuck, why is everyone Southern? Just give him a normal, deep, fucking miserable voice. They heard that all the way in Ponyville. Unlike my fellow slave, I was pleased to have witnessed the unicorn firing off his weapon, because now I knew how it worked. What kind of damn fool, Monterey grumbled, announces his presence this close to Raider territory. The river slithered across our path, its waters slipping and oozing along its banks, half stagnant. The water lapped and sucked at the supports of a bridge, making the wet sounds I had been hearing. Beyond the bridge lurked the shattered remains of a pre-war town. The bridge was a maze of barricades. Dark shadows of ponies moved about it. Briefly, I may have made the mistake of hoping for rescue. My eyes were drawn to the spiked poles that lined the bridge, and the still rotting heads of the decapitated ponies that adorned the two of them. I tasted bile. The sight was horrific. Cager, stay here, Cracker said, finally putting a name to the spear-wielding slaver pony. Sawed-Off, let's go hear what the toll is this time. Monterey Jack lowered his head and looked balefully towards the bridge. I moved closer to him, following his example, and hoping that I had positioned myself so Cager couldn't see the faint glow of my horn as I slipped my screwdriver and bobby pin from my stable utility barding. Like all of the slaver's equipment, the manacles on my legs were crude and of low quality. As Cracker and Sawed-Off argued with the bridge ponies, I focused on picking the first lock. I was rewarded with a soft click as it sprung open. Releasing my pip-buck foreleg, the manacle fell to the ground with a little thump. Oi! KG's ear had shot up, and now he moved around to see me. Swiftly, I cut the magic, dropping the screwdriver and bobby pin into the dirt, and hoped that in the darkness the slaver wouldn't see the change in my chains. What are you up to? KG growled dangerously. The nasty sharp edge of a shovel hovered inches from my eyes. Blam! KG turned around abruptly, the spear shovel slashing through enough of my face that I shrieked. The gunshot was from the bridge. It didn't sound like Sawed-Off's shotgun, but the second shot did. It took KG a breath to recognize that crossing the bridge had become a bloody affair. Glowering back at us, his posture threatening, he started to say something. I suspect he was warning us to stay put, but I'll never know. His head exploded, showering me with gore. I stood there, eyes wide, shaking with shock. Blood, warm and sticky, ran down my forehead and into my left eye, oozed into my coat and mane. In the growing list of things I had not seen before this night, the death of another pony ranked at the top. I blinked, feeling the blood on my eyelid. KG was dead, and I had KG all over me. The urge to throw myself into the river was overwhelming, but I couldn't get to it like this. Pushed by something more than determination, my horn once again glowed, and I began to unlock the rest of my manacles. I spared a glance towards the bridge, seeing Sawed-Off hunkering down beside one of the barricades as he magically pulled his shotgun open, stuffing in more ammo. 2 shots, I realized. One at the Sprite Bot, one just now. 2 shots, then reload. Closing the weapon, he levitated it up above the barricade and shot blindly into the violent Malo, spraying an already wounded raider pony with a scatter shot. The pony staggered and fell. Unfortunately for Sawed-Off, the raider behind him had a different kind of shotgun, one that was faster and not limited to 2 shots. that fired slugs which tore great holes in the unicorn slaver's body the moment he looked up to see the results of his effort. I turned away, cringing from the nightmare playing out before me, and focused on the locks. I freed myself and was beginning to free Monterey when 2 raider ponies trotted off the bridge towards us. Stepping over the battle-mutilated corpses of Cracker, Sawed Off, and the raiders that had taken down with them. One of them approaching us was the unicorn raider wielding the devastating combat shotgun. The other, an earth pony with a sledgehammer in its teeth. The unicorn was laughing, not the mean laugh at Cracker, but a crazy laugh that sent chills down the back of my neck. "Looks like we got ourselves some prizes," the earth pony chortled behind the sledgehammer as the unicorn looked us over appraisingly. The 2 were somehow filthier than slavers. The unicorn bore jagged scars across her face and flanks, one of them tearing through her cutie mark, several freshly bleeding. The earth pony was hairless and painfully burned over much of her left side. Both wore barding that looked ragged and cobbled together. "Help us?" I suggested weakly. "Oh, I'll help myself to you, all right." The unicorn reared up and gave me a kick, her hoofs striking hard into my side. Pain exploded, and I dropped gasping. Rearing up again, she brought her full weight down on me, and I howled. Near me, Monterey let out a wet grunt of pain as the earth pony gave him a taste of her sledgehammer, leaving me in a crying huddle. The unicorn also turned her attention to the still-chained Monterey. In moments, it became clear that they intended to bludgeon him until he was another lifeless corpse, and probably not stop then. "Hold his leg out. I'm gonna shoot his hoods off." The unicorn raider floated the combat shotgun a foot. Oh my god, I can't speak now. The unicorn raider floated the combat shotgun a foot from Monterey's splayed left hind leg, the only one I had freed from his manacle. Ignoring the pain, I leapt up, closing the distance and spinning as I gave a fierce back kick. My hooves connected with the shotgun, sending it flying. It clattered onto the bridge beyond. A moment later, I was levitating the shovel spear at the 2 raider ponies who stood facing me with gleeful expressions. 2 against 1, and both of them were experienced fighters. The one with the sledgehammer stepped closer, as if eager to see if a hammer beat a knife. Monterey was on her in an instant, throwing his forelegs over her head, pulling the chain between them across her neck. The sledgehammer fell from her mouth as the raider pony choked. The unicorn turned, surprised by the sudden change in odds. I could have attacked her then, but threatening a pony is much different than actually attacking one. I wasn't sure if I had it in me to slash another pony, to draw blood, to maim, or possibly kill. Unicorn kicked up the fallen sledgehammer and turned to face me with it, murder in her eyes, and suddenly I found it easy to thrust the shovel sphere forward. I was no longer struggling with following through on a threat. This was survival. Self-preservation is instinctual. It clears away the moral hesitations, and while I did not have the fighting skills of my opponent, I did have an advantage of my own. Sats. Aided by the targeting spell of my pip-buck, I sent the spear slashing across her knees, hobbling her. A second slash, this time across her face, relieved her of her weapon, and the third would be a killing blow. Except I wasn't ready to do that. Not yet. Instead, I swung the spear around, cracking her head with the handle, hard enough to splinter the wood. The unicorn raider fell to my feet, unconscious. I looked up. Monterey was standing, chest heaving, over the body of an earth pony raider, the life choked out of her. He was staring at me quietly, then finally raised a forehoof, only for the chain to clink tight before he added more than a few inches off the ground. Oh, dropping the shovel spear, I turned the light on my pip-buck and searched about for my screwdriver. Lost the bobby pin. There was no sign of fighting it in the dirt that night, but I had more. Once we were both free, Monterey limped slowly over to the bridge. A moment later, he returned, his horn glowing a gentle beige. Sawed-off shotguns followed him. Sawed-off's shotgun followed him. Before I could react, he aimed it at the head of the unconscious raider. Oh my god. He aimed it at the head of the unconscious unicorn raider and fired. Her blood began to seep across the ground towards my hooves. I watched in stunned silence as he turned and began prodding at the bodies, tugging items from them. Finally, I found my voice. "What are you doing?" He looked at me as if I was stupid. Checking to see if they have anything valuable on them. With luck, food. I nodded, watching him move to the bodies at this end of the bridge. Looting the bodies at the dead felt wrong, but a cold, rational part of me murmured that it was a qualm that I would have to get over in time to survive. And imagine how embarrassed I'd be if I starved to death out here because I'd been too shy to check a dead pony's bag for a pouch of oats or a can of old applesauce. I moved a bit forward down the bridge. Looked over the body of a dead raider pony, his face bloody and torn from Cracker's pony shoes. Started to go through the pockets of his barding, but my stomach rebelled. I flung myself to the railing, heaving my lunch into the foul river below. A large break in the clouds brought a soft and silvery light to everything. I could see the reflection in the water, still covered in Keiji's drying blood. Then I saw sawed-off shotgun hovering in the air behind my head. I'll be taking what you have, too, Monterey Jack informed me with a bored drawl. What? I turned slowly to see him standing on the bridge, bathed in moonlight, his horn glowing a soft beige light. The shotgun floated between us, pointed at me. But I just saved you. Yeah, and for that, I'm not gonna kill you. His eyes narrowed. Unless, of course, you do something stupid right now. But I just saved you. Aren't you the top of your class? He said snidely. We should work together, travel together. Monterey snorted. And split our limited provisions. Go to sleep with one eye each night. Go to sleep with one eye open each night, hoping to catch you when you try to stab me in the back? No thanks. My righteous disbelief stopped short of denial. Suddenly, I was so very weak. Nodding, I lowered my head and let my 2 canteens slip free, then backed up so he could approach them. I turned my head to start unclasping my saddlebags. I saw it on the bridge just beyond my tail. Turning back to Monterey, my own horn was glowing, and the combat shotgun whipped into the air. For a long moment, we stood there. 2 unicorn ponies on a bridge, surrounded by bodies, shotguns floating between us, aimed at each other. Moonlight shone down on us from the break in the clouds. Monterey Jack broke the silence. You're not gonna use that. I saw you spare a raider. If you couldn't kill a pony like that, you don't have it in you to kill me. I narrowed my eyes. I'm a quick study. He huffed, but didn't move. You even know how to use that thing? I forced a smile across my face. You know that you only have 1 shot left, and judging by the sprite bot, that gun is in such poor repair I'll survive being shot at with it. You survive being shot with this as many times as I can move the trigger while you reload? Monterey Jack took a step back, and with that falter, my smile was no longer forced. And I'll be taking my canteens back. Oh, man. Hold on. Water break. Ponyville. I wondered just how my Pip-Buck knew the names of places before I did. It even named the wreckage of a building that I had just slipped into. What is it? Ponyville was raider territory. I just hope this place, this Carousel Boutique, was not crawling with them. Monterey Jack and I had barely parted ways when the railing of the bridge exploded next to me. Sniper, the same pony I presumed, who had turned Keiji's head to applesauce. I fled into town, keeping whatever cover there was. Few of the buildings were intact enough to hide in. This was the closest. Fortunately, I was alone. I waited for nearly an hour, curled up in the shadow near the door. But the sniper pony seemed uninspired to follow me. No, she or he could just wait until I came out. Fatigue washed over me. I'd stayed up all the night before, and this night's events were a strain on both body and spirit. My muscles were weak and achy. My body hurt from the kicks I'd taken. I felt emotionally played out. I needed to sleep. Sleeping here was probably a horrible idea. If I woke up, it could be in the hooves of slavers, raiders, or possibly worse. But going back outside, finding someplace better, it just wasn't on the table. I was in no shape to test my wits against the sniper pony again. Carousel Boutique was in a similar condition to the building up at Sweet Apple Acres, only the looting was more destructive. The walls had been painted with crude images of violence and cruder swear words. A vile torn-up cloth rotted in a corner, smelling foul, like ponies had urinated on it repeatedly. There were 2 beds, one of which was stained deeply with blood, and probably more vile things. The other mattress was smaller, a fool's bed, nothing but a mattress on a crushed frame. In my state, it would do wonderfully. The Carousel Boutique offered 2 more treasures, a locked chest and another terminal, identical to the one at Sweet Apple Acres. This one, too, was still functional. Again, to my surprise, it was locked. Slipping out my access tool, I went to work. These terminals were crafted by some of the same ponies who later made the Pip-Bucks, and the encryptions and locks were similar enough that my tools allowed me to part way through the security. What remained was a puzzle, finding the password within strands of my code that access tool laid bare. In my fried mental state, it was possibly a small miracle that I was able to parse the code and find the password. Or possibly not. The password was Apple. I laughed aloud, catching myself when I heard the volume of my own voice in the stillness of the decrepit boutique. As I realized that, beyond all realistic chance, this was the computer with the message had been sent to. With an unwarranted feeling of accomplishment, I downloaded it and let my pitbug do the rest. Age had damaged the recording, but there was enough audible for me to recognize that same female voice. Kind of sweet with an odd accent. Many hours before revealed to me the code that had led me out with my old life and into this new horrible one. Special instructions for Stable 2. That's my family down there. Till the poison is gone from up here, that door doesn't open for any pony. The voice faded in and out of static. I know you hate this, Sweetie Belle, but you're an overmare now. What? What the fuck? What the fuck is this plot twist? I know you hate this, Sweetie Belle, but you're an overmare now. The overmare of the most important stable in all of Equestria, and I need you to do this for me. Keep them safe. Best friends forever, remember? The sound file died with a whimper. I'd been right. There really was no value in a 2-century-old message. I left the chest for the morning, curled up, and I went to sleep. What a fucking twist of fate that was, that Sweetie Belle became an overmare. Holy shit. This is actually pretty... I'm not gonna lie. For what I have read of My Little Pony fanfiction, this is actually pretty good. At least in comparison. And if we want to go back to Sonic High School, I'd say this one has a lot less controversial content in it. But unfortunately, my throat is starting to give out a little. So I may have to call it for here. But tomorrow I will be back. We'll see if we do more reading. I don't think I will. Maybe some Uma. Maybe something else. We'll see. I'm going to see about Friday, because I usually, I mean, as you guys have probably realized, I like to do at least Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I didn't do yesterday. And then I don't know if I'm going to do Friday, because I work late. And so if I do stream Friday, it's going to be like really late, like 10 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see if we do. Other than that, I will be back tomorrow. I might do a kind of earlier stream, but it'll definitely be a shorter stream on Thursday if I do stream at all. But thank you guys for showing up to my nice little campsite. Thank you guys for listening to my wonderful, wonderful ghost stories. Ghost stories, what? My wonderful campfire stories. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll find some good ghost stories tomorrow. Keep up the little camping theme, right? Yeah, that sounds kind of fun. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. I think that's what we'll do tomorrow. We'll find some good ghost stories, some good internet ghost stories, and we'll read them by the campfire as well. For now, let's see. Can I send you guys off to anybody? Who is on? Is anyone on? Send you guys back to Gux. Yeah, guys back to Gux. All right. Everyone, thank you again for stopping in. See you guys tomorrow with, like I just said, ghost stories. And have a good night. Make sure you get a good rest. Bring your favorite sleeping bag tomorrow. And don't plan on getting any sleep because it'll be spooky. Woo. Alright, have a good night, everyone. I'll send you off to... Yes, I'm going to send you off to Gux. Start the raid. Beep, 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 beep. Stick around for a little bit. Say hi. I will see you tomorrow. Good night. Bye-bye.